There are stories we forget and stories that never belonged to us in the first place, but still shape who we are. Welcome back, night travelers, to Paranormal Nightshift, where the veil is thin, the strange feels familiar, and your true stories echo louder than ever in the dark. I'm your host, Andy. And if you're hearing my voice again, well, that's not just coincidence. After nearly a year away, I came back to narrate a single story, and I'll be honest, I thought that might be it. But then something unexpected happened. You reached out, you asked, you shared, and more than anything, you wanted more. So here I am, officially back to stay to walk beside you through the shadows once again, story by story, step by eerie step. And tonight's tale, it's one of those stories that doesn't just whisper through the dark, it hovers. Josh was only 6 weeks old when something happened, something no one could explain, but no one ever forgot. It's a story passed down like folklore. Except it's true. And the deeper it goes, the more it reveals about what happens when love, loss, and something unexplainable meet in one quiet room. So dim the lights, close the door, and lean in. Because this is the day I floated. I don't remember it happening. I was too young, just 6 weeks old, but the story has followed me my entire life. It was the kind of story people laugh at when you tell them until they see the look in your eye and realize you're not joking. According to my mom, it was a normal afternoon. She had just laid me down in my room after feeding me. I had been a quiet baby. Rarely cried unless something was wrong. That day, she said, I was unusually calm, almost peaceful. She told me she had walked past my room several times that day, each time hearing nothing. No crying, no fussing, no signs of being awake. After a few hours, something told her to check in on me. A tug in her chest like a whisper without sound. When she opened the door, she froze. Her knees nearly buckled, because there I was, floating, 6 feet off the ground. She described it like I were being held by something or someone, but there was nothing there. My body was perfectly still, arms gently out, head tilted slightly like I was sleeping. I wasn't crying. I wasn't awake. I was just suspended in the air, as if gravity had temporarily lost interest in me. She stood in the doorway, completely paralyzed by what she was seeing. Her first instinct wasn't fear. She said it felt like something holy, like a presence, filled the room that wasn't threatening, but ancient, familiar. After a few seconds that felt like a lifetime, she stepped into the room and said my name, softly. The moment she did, I slowly descended back into the crib without a sound. No jerking, no thud, just a slow drift back to where I was meant to be. Now here's the thing that never stops giving me chills. My grandfather Willard, the man I was named after, the one who had cradled me in his arms when I was barely weeks old, had died just a few days before this happened. He'd held me only once. My mother said there was something in his eyes when he looked at me, like he was memorizing every detail. Like he knew he wouldn't be here long. He passed unexpectedly. No health issues, no warning, just gone. My mother never connected the two until later, until she saw me floating and remembered that quiet moment between a man and his grandson. After that, she believed. She still does. As I got older, I started seeing people that others didn't. At first, I thought everyone could. I'd ask questions like, who's the old man standing by the mailbox? Or, why is that lady in the rocking chair crying? Only to be met with silence or confused stares. By the time I was 6 or 7, I realized these people weren't alive. They weren't there, not to anyone else, but they were real to me, and they still are. I see them in the corners of rooms and mirrors and crowds. sometimes standing over a grave as if they still belonged to the world they left. And they all do the same thing when they realize I see them. They look relieved, like someone finally turned the lights on in a dark room. It's hard to explain what it's like growing up like this. You learn to pretend. You learn to nod when people ask, "Are you okay?" Because telling them, "Yeah, just trying to ignore the man pacing in the hallway, even though no one else can see him," doesn't go over so well. But I've also learned it's not a curse. It started with something I couldn't control. That moment floating in the air. But what followed has shaped every part of who I am. Sometimes I wonder if it was my grandfather holding me in that room, letting me know I'd never be alone in this world, not even in the quietest, strangest moments. Maybe he saw what I was meant to be. Maybe he was there to make sure the first spirit I ever encountered loved me. And maybe, just maybe, that moment opened a door that's never truly closed. Even now, I keep a photo of Willard near my bed. Not because I miss him, but because I know he's never really gone. Every so often, I feel a shift in the air, something familiar. And when I do, I whisper, "Thanks for catching me." Because no matter how many ghosts I've seen since that day, he was the first. And somehow, I think he always will be. And that brings us to the end of tonight's journey into the extraordinary. Josh, thank you for sharing a story that begins with a moment so impossible, so quietly surreal. It lingers in the air like a dream that refuses to let go. From floating 6 feet above a crib to growing up with eyes that see beyond the veil, your experience reminds us that sometimes our first connection to the spirit world isn't fear, it's love. And for the rest of you, time travelers listening, if tonight's story left a chill in your chest or made you glance twice at that shadow in the corner, here's how you can keep the journey going. First, head over to paranormalnightshift.com and grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado. It's the first book in our supernatural time travel saga, where Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman rides the timelines and wrestles with ghosts that won't stay buried. Want even more? Join us on Patreon for an ad-free experience, early access to new episodes, and exclusive peeks behind the curtain of the Dimensional Desperado universe. It's the best way to keep this show going strong and to keep the shadows talking. If Patreon's not your thing, no worries. You can still support the show by subscribing on Spotify or YouTube. And while you're there, leave a comment. What did you think of Josh's story? Have you ever felt a presence that made you wonder who might still be watching over you? And finally, if you have a story of your own, don't keep it in the dark. Head to paranormalnightshift.com and hit that submit a story button. Whether you were awake, asleep, or floating somewhere in between, we want to hear it. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, some stories aren't remembered because they never left.